Good evening, travellers, and welcome to this episode of the Pro Wrestling Journey podcast. My name's JP. I'll be your co-host this evening, along with the one and only, the ultimate warrior of promos, Sean Boy. Say hello, Sean.
How you getting on today, travellers? I'm sure they can understand quite well. Me being the ultimate warrior of promos, John.
Indeed. So we'll give you the quick rundown on what we're planning this evening. And I'll tell you quick, without droning on too much. I know, I say it every time. I am going to drone on too much. It's just going to happen. So Sean decided that this evening we should shine a light on a promotion, big promotion in Scotland, Insane Championship Wrestling. We'll be introducing at the end of the show. We've got the special guest star coming next week. Some would say she's a rising star. We just think she's a superstar. She is indeed the Priestess of Pain. And we'll leave you guessing just for a wee while yet. We'll announce that at the end of the show. We are going to review this evening ICW Fight Club Barred, which happened last month. And called Barred because every match was a steel cage match. And as I said to Sean, I was well impressed because it was an old school steel cage match. And by that I mean the cage was actually metal bars. So for you young folk that don't remember, back in the day, it used to be vertical, horizontal bars. The cage was an actual cage. Nowadays they do it with fencing panels, chicken wire. It's a wee bit more flexible. I'm sure the wrestlers would tell you it hurts just as much. Anything you want to chip in there, Sean Boy?
I'm just the same as yourself, John. I'm a big fan of the bars. Old school, I think King Kong Bundy versus Hulk Hogan, classic match. The blue cage, yep. back in the day. That's Bret Hart versus Owen Hart. There's plenty of classic steel cage matches that had the bars. It probably Disney feel the best, so they probably went for the better option. The wrestlers would probably say it still doesn't feel great, and it probably doesn't feel great, but it's not because the bars, I wouldn't have thought.
Hopefully you'll be getting bounced off here very shortly and we'll get to know, so if you want to ask Sean any questions, travellers, the address is questions@theprowrestlingjourney.co.uk.
Definitely, I'll be happy to answer anything you've got for me.
Send us anything you like. Send us your thoughts, good or bad, indifferent. Any improvements you think need to be made. Anything. Just anything. If you've got a blocked drain, we'll have a look and tell you how to unblock it. We don't care. We'll talk about anything. But we are here to talk about Fight Club Barred, so let's get stuck in. The night was opened by Angel Hayes versus Molly Spartan, obviously in a steel cage. Angel Hayes made her entrance. Now I'm not going to lie, I'm no clued up on ICW the way I am with WWE. I hear you laughing. ICW came to my attention because of the wee match, and I'm glad it did because one, it led me to this podcast, which I really enjoyed doing most of the time. It introduced me to folk that I wouldn't have met otherwise. And there's no two ways about it. It's just some bloody good wrestling. That's all there is to it.
Definitely.
They do storylines, but they tend to concentrate more on what's going on in the ring. And that's my cup of tea.
I'll let the listeners, the travellers, just so they could get a wee bit of backstory on how this match came to be. Mm-hmm. So the rivalry between Angel Hayes and Molly Spartan, it really started heating up on the first Fight Club back in November 28th, 2020. And the new era of ICW is looking very promising. There's a whole lot of new talent that's came through. And Angel Hayes, she's been there for the last year. Molly Spartan, she wasn't very pleased with Angel Hayes because she thinks that she's getting these opportunities. Angel has been getting the opportunities, and Molly feels like she's been overlooked. She's been there about a decade now, so she's got a point to what she's saying. you can understand where she's coming from. She's not happy that
Aye.
the pretty girls, is what she was saying. Some pretty wee lassies coming in the door and taking her spotlight, and she wasn't for having it. So she's basically called out Angel Hayes and challenged her to a match. Molly Spartan got the win with a huge powerbomb. A week later, Angel Hayes picked up a big win by putting Molly to sleep with a Cohina clutch, because she straight away wanted a rematch. There was a mixed tag team match between Molly Spartan and Angel Hayes. Their tag team partners. Team 4 was Molly Spartan's tag team partner, and Ali was Angel Hayes' partner. And Angel Hayes sleeping outside the ring again, choked her out again, and Dean Ford managed to pick up the win, pinning Ali. So I don't even think Molly was aware that she won.
No.
Which was just brilliant, because that's how a heel gets it done. It's just classic heel stuff. And so they had a win each, and it went to a tag team. The tag team match, they never really got the win in fall. On the January 9th edition of Fight Club, Molly caused a distraction, and that cost Angel a match against Moxie Malone, and she was making her ICW debut. After the match, Molly attacked her, and she stayed on the mic, and she was just basically trying her best to humiliate Angel Hayes, and she left her lying in the ring with a big powerbomb. She challenged her to a match. The match never really did happen. We never got the match. So on the 6th of March, Molly, again, she's caused a distraction for Angel Hayes. She was in a match with Emily Hayden at that point, and she's caused a distraction. Emily's got the win, and again, another big powerbomb came Angel Hayes' way, and that's when Molly challenged Hayes to the steel cage match at ICW Barred. So that's what we got. That's how we got to this point.
Well, Angel Hayes at this point must be getting fed up with the Chemical X.
Definitely. The announcers at this point, I'm glad you said the Chemical X, because the announcers, when I was going back and watching the matches, they were just calling it the big powerbomb. So I think at some point in between our rivalry, they've called it the Chemical X. That is a badass powerbomb, by the way.
It looks fantastic. It looks the business. It's a fair power move. Billy Kirkwood referred to it as the Chemical X, so I'm not sure that's a mainstream term, but let's get it that way. Let's make it it's the Chemical X, folks. That's what it is. So let's just get it out there. Takes us into the cage match. Angel Hayes, for them that are not familiar, I would say she's a young lass in her, I don't know what age she is, but she'll be in her early 20s. Molly Spartan will be in her early 30s. So a wee bit of seniority there. Angel Hayes comes out looking, I've got to say, looking quite relaxed for a young lassie who's about to step into the cage for the first time. She comes out, she has a wee look about. She, at the cage, I mean, she goes in and she's still eyeballing the structure as you would. We tested the ropes, and that was it. I couldn't see any trepidation there at all.
No, she looked confident going in.
She really did. She looked quite good. Molly Spartan came in. Now, I have actually asked Molly what her thoughts were as she was coming in, and she said that she was very well aware that it was her own. Basically, she got herself into the predicament and had to see it through. And in Molly's words, she was reminded very quickly that the situation was going to hurt as soon as Angel Hayes drop kicked her into the cage, which was the opening move. And I thought it was brilliant. Straight in, get started, heavy hitting, big impact. Obviously, you've got the smaller lass battling the bigger lass. She knew she had to get in, hit fast and stay out the road, basically. And she was trying to do that. A few things.
That was a surprise to me as well, because I thought, going into the match, I was thinking Molly is going to she's going to catch her pretty early on, and she's going to start taking the match for there. And then it didn't really have high hopes for Angel getting a good start.
Didn't go her way straight away, but lo and behold, Molly hits Angel with what can only be described as the biggest spear I've ever seen. I thought she was going to spear her through the cage, to be honest.
That spear was absolutely brilliant. Like, Edge would be proud of that.
But Molly Spartan honestly did Big Adam proud with that spear. Nearly speared poor Angel right out of her boots. Molly Spartan was frequently referred to as big and powerful, which is obviously the style she works. But I can see, I'm seeing wrestling moves coming out of her as well. It was the perfect combination of power moves, wrestling moves. And Angel Hayes was showing that she's got a bit of power about her as well, by the way. She wasn't shy.
Both of them put a hell of an effort into this match, and you can tell these girls, this isn't their first time meeting each other, and I'm not just talking about ICW, because I know
they've met numerous times.
They've definitely met each other outside the ICW, and they've got a great chemistry, and you can tell. And they've just had an absolute brilliant match. I was surprised, like I said at the start, that drop kick that Angel Hayes, it was surprising because I just thought it was going to be Molly getting the first bit in. But that's what you said there. She knew she was going to need to go up. It was an uphill battle for the start. So she had to get the first move in.
Molly Spartan got Angel Hayes into a variety of an abdominal stretch.
I did see that. I did. Just folding her up.
She was pretty much trying to fold her backwards, and as everyone knows, you're not meant to do it. You're not meant to bend that way. Get me? No. And fair play to Angel Hayes, she held her ground and she would not quit.
She's very resilient in this match. You got to give her that. Like, she was not quitting.
I mean, she did try numerous comebacks. In the end, I don't really think she recovered for the spear. Molly just kept cutting her down. Everything she was trying, she cuts her down. Angel Hayes hit Molly Spartan with 3 forearms, had her in the corner, and then she was going for the door. At that point, Spartan stopped her, dishes out a beating, hits her with a Chemical X. That's what I'm calling it now. It's a sit-down powerbomb. Hits her with a Chemical X and takes the win. So you think that was a absolutely cracking match. Fantastic way to open the show. But hang on a minute, we're not done. Molly Spartan, in an absolute shocking display, then continues to beat on poor Angel, dishes out a hell of a beating. After the bell's been rung, she's won the match. She still continues to hand out a proper kicking, as we call it here in the UK. In Glasgow, they would call it the full Malky, which is not good, having been on the receiving end of a few. And basically she would later say she was just trying to hammer home her point. Now, pretty much immediately after the match, Molly cuts a promo, and I'm sitting in my living room, I'm taking notes, I'm sitting writing these notes. I see a lot of Jake the Snake in Molly Spartan's promo, because she does that thing where she started off with, and she's a very pretty lady, by the way, don't anybody tell Wolfgang. But she starts off, she's got this big mane of hair, and she's got the hair over her face, and she's talking dead quiet. And Jake used to say that he would do that because, hang on a minute, is he speaking? So you had to lean forward to listen to what he was saying.
Aye.
And as she starts talking more and more, she sort of whips the hair back, Undertaker style. And then she goes into full-on rant and starts getting stuck right into the company. I've heard Molly Spartan say the rivalry between her and Angel Hayes, it's nothing personal. And she hopes that Angel Hayes appreciates this. It's nothing personal. It's just she needs to make a point to the company that she's here, she's been overlooked, and she's worthy of a shot. And this is how she's doing it. She's taking Angel Hayes, she's making an example of her. And to quote Molly, she wasn't very happy that for the last 10 years, she has busted her arse and young ladies like this come in and they get their opportunities, as Sean says, handed to them. And I just thought it was a brilliant promo. It started nice and quiet, and it was quite theatrical as well. The hair get flipped back, the voice went right up, and she just got proper touring about the company, which I think is brilliant. Did you see that promo, Sean?
I did. I seen the promo, and you want to hear me? Shut up and listen. And that's what you had to do. And when Molly spoke, you instantly, your ears perked up, you were listening, and you knew there was validity in what she's saying. I think Angel Hayes, she let Molly in her head, and that's exactly what Molly wanted. To Molly, it was just business, and she was using Angel as an example. She was just sending a message to every woman in the ICW women's division. She keeps looking at her watch. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think she's going to be doing that much longer, because to me, ICW, they can't overlook Molly anymore. She needs the ICW Women's Championship opportunity, because when she gets the opportunity, I think she's going to absolutely take it, and I don't know who's going to stop that reign when she becomes champion. I don't know who's going to stop her.
I agree. I absolutely agree, and can't wait to see what happens next, to be quite honest with you.
I'll quickly just say this about Angel Hayes as well. She's a young rising star, so there's still plenty of time for her to make it to the promised land of the women's division. And I fully believe that if she keeps going on the way she's going on, she will get that women's championship at some point. But I think it's Molly's time. Just now, definitely think it's Molly's time.
Molly Spartan has actually said Angel Hayes will be a superstar, but the time is now, and this is no her time. This is the time for Molly Spartan. So, watch this space, and we shall see.
We're on that bandwagon.
Absolutely. I am a big fan of the power style. Moving swiftly on, we had Leighton Buzzard versus BT Gunn. I wasn't overly familiar with the rivalry here. Maybe you've got a wee bit more detail than me.
So prior to this match, BT Gunn, he picked up a win against Leighton Buzzard in the quarterfinal match of the Lionheart League. And for weeks, Buzzard was sending messages to BT Gunn. He was absolutely livid. Leighton Buzzard actually made Sha Samuels tap out in the first block of the Lionheart League tournament. That just extra annoyed him, because he was saying if he was to be the guy that went on to the finals, you know for a fact he would have won that tournament, and that was his destiny. The winner of the Lionheart League tournament, for anybody that didn't know, by the way, earned the number one contender spot for the ICW World Heavyweight Championship, which Noam Dar's holding currently. Leighton Buzzard was livid. He got kicked out of that tournament thanks to BT Gunn. And he challenged BT Gunn to a match. And sure enough, El Capitan, El Capitano, he got the win. They had a great match, so they did, and he got the win. He ended with Buzzard raking the eyes of BT Gunn, and he made him tap to the sharpshooter. All which was legal, as the match took place under insane rules, and they kept driving that point home. That same episode, BT Gunn shakes Buzzard's hand, and he tells him that he's proud. That he was proud that he brought that out of Buzzard, and he challenged him to another match, and he was basically saying that you've got it in you, and let's do this again. And Buzzard went on to accept the match. So the week later, on the 27th of February edition of Fight Club, they had another great match under ICW rules. It looked like BT Gunn, he made the mistake in having respect for his opponent, because that's effectively what cost him the match. He had Leighton Buzzard ready to beat. He had him for the pinfall, basically. And you could hear BT Gunn saying, "You're a good boy. I'm not letting you get beat like this." And out of that wee bit of compassion and respect he showed, Buzzard basically just spat right in his face by, again, using the dirty tactics. He hits a low blow. He boots him with a low blow, and he gets, I think he actually booted him twice. Booted him twice with a low blow, and he got the win. BT Gunn sitting wondering what's this guy's problem. He gets up after that game. He was showing respect. He basically says, "What the fuck's your problem, mate?" By the time he's saying that, Buzzard's booted him in the balls again. That's 3 times in the fucking. He's booted him in the balls 3 times in the space of like 2 minutes.
I'd have been done in by that. Like, that'd have been me. I'd have just submitted after the first game came in.
Aye. Well, about a week later after that match, Leighton went on and he had a match with Logan Smith. And Logan was going toe-to-toe with Buzzard, which I thought was nice to see. I thought it was nice to see Logan Smith get some offense in. Again, Leighton being the dastardly, sneaky rat bastard that BT Gunn called him. That's BT Gunn's words now. I'm just repeating it. And he got the low blow for the win. After he got the win on Logan Smith, he went and had a post-match attack. He basically attacked him after the match. He was laying it right in, and BT Gunn came out, made the save. He almost hits Buzzard with the Technodrome, but Buzzard rolled out the ring and he got away. BT Gunn went and grabbed the mic and he basically said, "You've been trying to get my attention. Well, you've got it. I'm sick to death of people like Leighton being in ICW for 2 minutes and thinking of the dog's bollocks." He's ready to knock the chip off Buzzard's shoulder, and he tells everybody that they're going to have a square go inside the steel cage match. And you can hear Leighton screaming.
So lo and behold, we're back in the cage. Gunn comes in. He makes his entrance first. Quite impressive. He comes in. Obviously, the official opens the cage door. Gunn gives it a quick look, as if to say, "Hi, right then. Shut that door." He actually tells the official, "Shut that door." And making a statement, he scales the cage and climbs into the ring over the cage, which I thought was quite cool. It was definitely different. Next thing, Buzzard comes in. So he comes out, which beggars the question, Leighton, why did you come out? You knew you were going to get a beating if you stepped out the drawing room. He comes out and he gives it the, "No having that." Turns round to walk away. Gunn, "No having that." Out the door, walks around the ring, catches Buzzard, kicks him up and down the asylum. And the match isn't started, but basically both guys are getting stuck in. They're big, meaty guys slapping meat. And they were slapping meat up and down that asylum floor, I can assure you. There was some hard hitting stuff. Gunn was handing it out, he was receiving it. It was good. It was good. Eventually, Gunn would trail Buzzard into the ring, and the bell, which had to be picked up after Flair because Gunn whacked Buzzard about the nut bit, eventually rung, and the match was underway. Gunn whips out a telescopic baton, the likes of which are carried by UK police, and believe me, they hurt. He starts setting about Buzzard with this baton.
Which I loved.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely loved.
Aye, which was good. I thought it was brilliant. The next thing you know, Buzzard whips out what we're assuming was a can of mace and just blasts Gunn in the eyes with the mace. And obviously, mace, it stings. I'm not speaking for personal experience on that particular one, but I'd imagine it does. So they go back and forward, they hand out a bit of a beating. Gunn is basically up over the cage, he's climbing back down, he's got to put one more foot down and he's won. Should emphasise, by the way, if you're a first-time traveller, then the rules of the cage match is pinfall, submission, or you escape the cage, either by exiting through the door or you can climb the cage and climb back down the other side. As soon as both feet are on the floor, you've won the match. So BT Gunn is stood on the cage. Leighton Buzzard is basically hurling abuse at him, trying to get under his skin, trying to basically be in a heel, getting him goaded back into the ring. And of course, BT Gunn, having a modicum of self-respect about him, he's not having this. He's going to get back in that ring. He's going to silence this wee upstart. So basically, as Gunn's climbing up the outside of the cage, Buzzard starts climbing up the inside of the cage. They have a good old school fight atop the cage. Gunn gets knocked back into the ring, and lo and behold, Buzzard jumps down. He's not caring who's shouting abuse at him. He jumps down, gets both feet on the ground, takes the win. Again, done very heelishly, if you'll pardon the word, because Gunn had it won. And it was the kind of, to me, it was the moral fibre of the man that took him back inside. He wasn't going to take the win until this young upstart was silenced. And Buzzard obviously knew this, whipped him back into the ring, and then legged it. There's no other way to say it.
Aye.
He was robbed.
Buzzard literally biting the hand that fed him the wrestling knowledge that he knows today to steal the win. What was your thoughts on that, John?
I had actually forgotten that until you mentioned it, but I remember Gunn. He's basically, as you say, got Buzzard by the face, and he stuck his head out of the cage and started hurling abuse at him, which I thought was a nice touch.
Aye.
I mean, it was obvious at that point. Gunn couldn't have had him there all night. And as soon as he let go, Buzzard was going to get the win.
Aye, definitely.
Next thing, we had the tag team titles on the line.
All right.
Nicky Divers and Jack Morris, the 9-9, versus Lou King Sharp and Krieger. They keep calling him. I say it Krieger.
Aye.
Because that's how they pronounced it in Blade. So, in my eyes, he's called Krieger. So they basically get in, and the rules of this one is a wee bit different for a tag team. Pinfalls, submissions don't count. The only way to win the titles is to both members of the same team must exit the cage one way or another. So they're all in, they've made their entrance. The 9-9 try a hasty exit. So they're all sitting eyeballing one another, and the next thing, the 9-9 just leg it and start scrambling up the cage. No. The boys aren't having none of that. I mean, Lou King Sharp surprised me because I've heard the name, but I'd never seen him in action before. And obviously, when you see the size of him beside Krieger, you just think, aye, what's he going to do? But the wee man is as game as any I've ever seen, and he's plenty capable of jumping in there and backing it up, from what I can see. So they basically hauled the lads down, gave them a swift beating. There was plenty of back and forth for both teams. Plenty of, and I'm sure folk will get sick of us using the term old school, but that's what we're like, so that's what we're going to do. There was plenty of what I call old school, bouncing the opponents off the cage, and I mean proper bouncing them off the cage, where they'll whip them into the ropes, Irish whip, and as they're coming back, they'll basically arse and neck them and literally grab them head first into the steel cage. And that's how it was done back in the day, and I quite like to see it getting done that way now. Lou King Sharp was coming out with some fantastic stuff. He hits a double stunner, which left the 9-9 devastated on the deck. At this point, Krieger's took a bit of a beating. He's lying in the corner, pretty much out of the game himself. Lou King Sharp, obviously in cage match mode. Everybody knows the point of a cage match is to exit the cage. So he swiftly does. He jumps up, climbs up the cage, scrambles back down the other side. Lo and behold, he's out. But he's also out of the match. He can't get back in.
No, that was a big miscommunication now.
Exactly. I think there's obviously been a misunderstanding. And as soon as his feet hit the ground and the guy says to him, "You're out," he understands what he's done, and he's straight over shouting sorry to Krieger, because he's effectively left Krieger on his Todd.
Aye.
But he's shouting and screaming and trying to get back in, and eventually one of them comes over to try and make an exit. Liu King Sharp grabs a chair, runs into the cage, starts clearing house with a chair. But lo and behold, try as he would, he basically gets Erson naked back out of the cage. Leaves Krieger on his own. The 9-9 pretty quickly take him out. It's obviously 2-on-1 at this point.
Big man can only do so much.
Aye. At this point, Liu King Sharp is trying to get back in. He's got ahead of the door. He's trying to wrestle the official to get the door. One of the 9-9 spot this, run over, sort of drop kick the door straight into Liu King's face. He's out of the game. Him and his buddy basically exit the cage. Lo and behold, 2 tag team champions.
It wasn't a very long match. I think it was 10 minutes, maybe. I think it was the shortest match in the card anyway on the night.
Aye.
Short and sweet.
Aye. I don't think it needed to be anything more, to be honest. There was plenty of offense from both teams. There was plenty of old school getting your noggin bounced off the cage, which is what I like to see in a cage match. That's what it's for. Make use of it again.
Aye, that's it. 9-9, they've been waiting a good while for their opportunity, so I'm glad that they got it.
Congratulations to them.
Aye.
He certainly earned it.
Aye, certainly did.
I mean, I must admit, I was sort of cheering for Liu King and Krieger.
Aye.
Why no? But there's no two ways about it. The 9-9 earned their titles that night.
Definitely. And I think going forward, I don't think it's going to happen straight away. I don't think it's going to be because of this match. But Liu King Sharp and Krieger, I don't think they're going to be staying together much longer. The miscommunication, that's the start. I think that's the seed's been planted.
The Rockers.
Aye, the seeds have been planted, so this team's not going to last that much longer, I don't think. And they've been a staple for a good few years now, at least. I mean, I remember I was at ICW Fear and Loathing in 2018, and they were on the card then, teaming. So they've definitely been doing it for a good few years as a team.
Time for them to go their own way, maybe.
Well, Liu King Sharp, one of the best, if not the best, cruiserweight in Europe. He's definitely up there. And like you said, you've not seen much of him, but the boy can go. And he does. He goes. I was just watching him. He was stomping somebody in the corner. And you're thinking, my God, man, does the guy owe you money?
That's it. He was properly impressive, like he really was. By the way, folks, if anybody wants to question Sean's opinion, see my wee segue there, you can send us your questions. The email address is questions@theprowrestlingjourney.co.uk, or tweet us at the Pro Wrestling Journey, or you can email us direct. You've got John at theprowrestlingjourney.co.uk. You've got Sean, spelt SEAN, at theprowrestlingjourney.co.uk. Any one of those will get your response, people, be it good or bad.
Yeah, definitely. You can also subscribe to our new YouTube channel, and believe it or not, you can find that under the Pro Wrestling Journey.
By the way, even Alexa knows who we are. All you've got to say is, Alexa, play the Pro Wrestling Journey podcast. Lo and behold, we will fill your ears with nonsense.
And it's not just, we're not biased with Alexa. If you've got Google, if you've got a Google Mini, Google will do the exact same job. You just have to say, okay, Google, play the Pro Wrestling Journey podcast.
We are everywhere, people. There is no escaping us. So, following the tag team title match,
there's a lot of history here between DCT and Coach Tripp. And I think the announcers, they might have drove that point home that Coach Tripp has basically got two. He's got a former protege and he's got a current protege. And I know DCT, basically, he would give anything that he could to get 5 minutes inside a steel cage with Coach Tripp. And that was one of the stipulations going into the match. However, if DCT didn't get the win, then he wasn't going to get Coach. He was going to still get Coach Tripp, but it was going to be 2-on-1. So, what was your initial thought on it, John?
He was going to end up basically if DCT won, David Campbell Thomas, to his own name in case anybody wants to know what DCT stands for. I had to look it up. He was obviously wrestling for 5 minutes alone with Tripp, and should he lose, obviously Tripp and Jason Reed were getting 5 minutes with DCT. I thought it was good back and forth to start with. The typical right hands back and forward, trading, selling, all that jazz. It was good. It was good old school getting a match started kind of stuff. Reed hits a belly to belly suplex,
which was a nice suplex. I did see that.
And then he finally proceeds to bounce DCT off the cage. And I mean, he proper launched him. And the only way I can think of it is DCT has launched himself, and basically Reed has caught him on the way and helped him along. So it was good to see old school stuff. And on that subject, Reed hit DCT with a good old school, plain old body slam, which used to be a big thing. You'll remember Hulk Hogan slammed Andre the Giant, and it was big news. It was the slam heard around the world. But I find these days it's conspicuously missing from wrestling these days. It's not considered quite such a high spot. But there you go. Hogan and Andre made it work. So it was good to see Reed throw in an old school move like that.
Aye, definitely. It's good to see Jason Reed. I'll just say this quickly. That guy is very dominant, and when he's going, he's aggressive, and you gotta love that. I think Coach Tripp is doing Jason Reed a lot of good, because he's keeping him right. He's keeping him focused in the match. If I don't think Jason Reed is going to slip up and make too many mistakes in a match, but he's always got Coach Tripp in his corner, and Coach does everything he can, whether it be distraction or booting somebody in the face, or just coming out and telling him what the guy is good. Or cut a wee bit to the nads, aye.
But you're right enough. Tripp is there to basically steer Reed back on the correct path when it needs to be done. More importantly, in this particular match, he's there to get under the skin of DCT, which he did on frequent occasions, allowing Reed to get an easy shot in. DCT hits Reed with a fall-away slam. So at this point, I'm quite liking the actual use of wrestling.
Classic move.
The classic moves, getting the fall-away slam, the body slam, the right hands back and forward. It was all good old school wrestling to me. Next thing you know, Tripp, being his usual self, gets the glam rock god, who makes the mistake of sticking his hand out of the cage to try and get ahead of Tripp. Tripp, lo and behold, has got a leather belt, wraps it round DCT's wrist and wraps the other end round the cage. So, of course, DCT can go nowhere. And
I was worried at that point because I wanted to see Tripp get in that cage for 5 minutes.
Aye, me too. He then threw a chair into the cage for Reed to set about DCT with. And basically DCT looks a bit beat down, but here's the old flashback. Reed hits the pedigree for a 2 count, and obviously it is a 2 count. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, Reed strikes me as a young guy. Looks like he's got a great future ahead of him. When he got that 2 count, he sold it like an absolute winner. The facial expressions, that man was asking God why he didn't get the 3 count at that point, and I fully believed every bit of it. And I thought it was brilliant.
You could feel just how drained he was at that point. You could see it, you could feel it.
Aye, and the next thing,
exhausted.
DCT gets ahead of Reed. No, son, this is how you put a pedigree on. Gets it done. Gets him for the win.
Aye.
Lo and behold, the 5-minute countdown. So at this point, Reed is removed for the cage. Tripp is sent straight back in. And DCT proceeds to start putting a beating on him. Now, I'm saying that DCT gets 5 minutes and puts a beating on the coach. The coach wasn't done yet, by the way. It's not as if he's an anybody. He didn't get the knowledge that he's got by knowing a few things here and there.
Oh, he's got a trick or two up his sleeve.
Aye, well, he definitely did. He suckered in DCT for a bit of a comeback. But the next thing you know, DCT has got ahead of the belt, and he's proper whipping the coach with the belt, good and proper. Coach was starting to regret introducing that belt into the match, I can assure you.
Aye, wee bit of karma.
Aye, and whilst all this is going on, by the way, I properly loved the drama for Jason Reed outside the coach. He's basically screaming at the coach. He's screaming, I'm sorry, I wasn't good enough, and just stuff like that, and trying to get in, and the officials are heading him back, and no, this is what you agreed to, stuff like that. And I just thought it was a nice wee bit of theatre for Reed outside the cage. He didn't just sort of shrink away and was forgotten about. He was very much there. And
he never just left coach to die. He was sorry about it.
Aye, that's exactly it. He never just left his man and thought, oh, well, nothing I can do now. He did actually stay there, and then you get the 10-second countdown. DCT's obviously put a hurting on the coach at this point, and he leaves the ring. Reed goes in, helps the coach out, and away they go. And it was a
brilliant ending.
It was good to see the Glam Rock God get it done. He deserved that 5 minutes, and he looked like he enjoyed every single second of it.
Aye.
The coach Tripp absolutely didn't. He just did not.
No, he didn't. You might not know this, but John, in 2018, DCT was the ICW World Heavyweight Champion, and his best friend was Coach Tripp. Coach Tripp turned his back on DCT and went with Justice, Jackie Polo. He chose Jackie over DCT. So that is DCT finally getting his payback after nearly 3 years. This was an absolute cracker of a match, and the whole rivalry gone into it.
Getting into the Kes Evans and Craig Anthony match, we got a quick rundown of the rivalry, the contract signing, where they had the two guys in the ring signing the contracts, and they're basically hurling abuse back and forward at one another, which I thought was brilliant. Both guys are quite good on the mic, but us Scottish people, we tend to speak with quite monotone voices, and I think that's no fault of the guys. They amp it up as much as they possibly can, and they did a cracking job. So we're into the main event. The briefcase is on the line. The briefcase being the guaranteed shot at the ICW Championship. I believe it's the ICW Championship of your choosing.
It is, yeah.
And again, I've been a wee bit lax to mention this, so apologies, travellers. But with ICW, the challenger enters first, which is the way I think it should be done. Like, for example, with the 9-9 came in first when the tag team titles were on the line. I think the challengers, going back to the old school broken record that I am, the challenger should enter the ring first. They should be made to wait for the champion, who gets the big entrance. That is my opinion, and everybody knows my opinion is correct. It was the proper big fight intro. It was the two guys. The two guys came in. I was getting confused there with the tag teams. I was going to say four guys, but the two guys came in. Their music hit. They came down. They got in the cage. Then they had the introduction for Simon, which was it felt like a proper big fight introduction. It was the man on your left.
Simon Cassidy has a brilliant announcer.
He's got the voice for it. I think that's one of the jobs. You've either got the voice for it, you haven't, and he definitely has. I'd love to hear how he would announce. My name's obviously JP. How you stretching that out, Simon? I would love to know. As you say, proper big fight feel. I feel like they gave the cage the proper respect that it needed. I mean, they both came in and they did that thing where they test the bars, they grab them and give them a wee shake and just see what kind of movement's actually in it.
Yeah. It's a nice wee touch.
I mean, as soon as the intros were done, as soon as Sexy Sai had done his thing and legged it, the two guys they got it on pretty quick, pretty hard and pretty fast, which was a theme for the night. Was hard and fast. Everybody was laying it in. There was nobody phoning it in. Everybody put on a performance, and I mean everybody in the whole event, they all put on a performance worthy of the WWE. I don't like doing comparisons, but let's face it, the WWE is the big dance, and any one of these matches would have looked at home on any one of their cards, in my humble opinion.
Which is why it is actually featured on the WWE network for $9.99 over here in the UK.
Indeed, Vinnie Mac Vinnie Mac wouldn't have any kind of association if he thought it was guff. That's the bottom line. So that's all I have to say about that.
There's only 4 independent promotions that are available on the network, and I like process that for a second. There's 4. Go count how many promotions there are in the world.
That's it.
And ICW is in the top 4. So, when you say that, there is, to me, ICW. Look at the stars ICW has brought to WWE already.
The big man.
Plenty. The list goes on. They've had Wolfgang. They've had Drew McIntyre, Nikki Cross, Kaylee Ray, Piper Niven. They've had Big Damo, Kelly and Kane. They've had Tommaso Ciampa. They've had the who's who.
Getting back to the main event, Big Kez quickly got the upper hand. I mean, he's a 6-footer. He's 6 foot plus. I believe I googled him. I think he comes in at about 6'2", 6'3". And I mean, don't get me wrong, Craig Anthony is no shrimp. He's a good 6 foot anyway.
He's a big guy.
I mean, put him next to me and he looked good. I mean, put fucking Mr. Blobby next to me and he looked good. That's another story. So Big Kez quickly gets the upper hand, starts putting a beating on him. And he's proper bouncing Craig Anthony for pillar to post. I mean, he's putting him into the ropes. He's arse and necking him into the cage. Craig Anthony hits the deck. Kez has got him up into the ropes, arse and necking him into the other side of the cage. He run that man ragged.
And you can see it. You can see the welts on his body.
I mean, as you say, the bruises were appearing on Craig Anthony thick and fast.
I
felt sorry for the man. No once did I consider swapping places with him, but I felt sorry for him.
I felt pretty bad for him. Like, he was taking his bumps.
Aye, he really was. Now, Kez tries an escape. He obviously thinks he's done enough. Tries an escape. He's legging it up the cage. Now, Craig Anthony comes out with something that properly impressed me, because I was obviously thinking David and Goliath here, the wee man versus the big man. Well, the wee man promptly grabbed the big man off the top rope where he was planning a manoeuvre, and he put him in a torture rack, of all things. So
I did
you
see
think
that, aye.
Craig Anthony has got big Kez Evans across his shoulders. He's stretching the hell out of him, and he's got him in a torture rack. And it doesn't end there, folks. It gets better. He then, in a sort of, the only way I can think of to describe it is reminiscent of a Hurricane Rana. He sort of whips Kez over his shoulders and sort of spins him at the same time. The only thing I can suggest, folks, is go and watch it. And for Craig Anthony to be running about with him on his shoulders, that shows me that's a proper base.
Aye, good solid base.
Aye, which is what these guys, if you're going to trust somebody to throw you about on their shoulders, they need to be trustworthy. Because that kind of stuff can go wrong pretty quick and have pretty dire consequences. So aye, the trust that Kez obviously put in Craig Anthony was phenomenal. And the strength that Craig Anthony showed when trying to get it done was phenomenal. And then he whips him into this spinning move, grabs him out of the air and whacks him with a power bomb. And I just thought, what the chuff was that? It was just brilliant. Visually, it was fantastic. It was absolutely brilliant.
I think Craig Anthony, he went to a dark place in this match and he was digging down deep. And he showed me some major aggression that I never knew that he had. Craig Anthony, I'm not very familiar with him at all, to be honest. But he's he's pretty new to ICW. I don't want to say he's brand new, because he's certainly no brand new, but he's making his name. And in this was the first proper match that I've sat down and I've watched. And he showed me some major aggression. I loved it.
Aye, absolutely. It's the same as yourself. I've not seen him do much else. I sat down and I watched him in this one, and I must admit I watched every bit of it.
That might be the first time we've watched him, but it'll certainly not be the last.
No, definitely no. I was waiting to see what was coming next, Ken. The guy was just pulling out the surprises left, right, and centre. And as we know, it takes two to dance. So all credit to Kez Evans as well.
It surprised me that, because I thought it was going to be Kez Evans bringing the aggression, which he absolutely did. I just didn't expect that much aggression for Craig Anthony. I suppose you're in a cage match, so you need to adapt.
Aye,
and he absolutely did.
That's it. And following the spinning powerbomb, so at that point, Craig starts putting a hurting on the big man, and he's promptly returning the favour for earlier on. He's bouncing Kez Evans off the cage, left, right, and centre.
Aye, that was good. Got his comeback, posting him side to side.
Exactly. He got his comeback. He got his stuff in. So, I mean, Kez Evans really did put Craig Anthony on the map. By the same token, Craig Anthony really put Kez Evans on the map, if you ask me.
He's GPWA trained as well. And you can see, like, if that's the kind of guys that GPWA is producing, then I'm happy. I'll be happy to go to GPWA.
Aye, incidentally, this event was held at the Wrestling Asylum, the GPWA in Glasgow, and we'll get into it in a wee bit more detail, but that is actually where Sean trains when it's open full time, between there and Girder's Gym, which is, of course, run by Wolfgang himself. Cheap plug. You can pay us later. They did a fantastic spot, getting back to the match that we're actually supposed to be reviewing. They did a fantastic spot where Craig Anthony was going for the door and Kez Evans is just behind him. He grabs him by the leg. He pulls him back. He actually grabs Craig Anthony by the shoulders, uses that to push himself forward. And lo and behold, Kez Evans is going for the door. So the next thing you know, Craig Anthony thinks, I'll have a bit of that, catches Evans by the leg and dragged him back and pushed himself forward. And they did a bit of this back and forward, going for the door for a wee while, which I thought was quite good. Craig Anthony was clearly enjoying himself when he was running Kez Evans back and forward off the cage. I mean, to be fair, if I was bouncing Sean off a cage the way Kes Evans was getting bounced, I would have quite a big smile on my face as well, because it looked to be great fun.
The only difference is you wouldn't have the capabilities, son, but we'll move on to
that. Aye, moving swiftly on for the Ultimate Warrior promos there. He's clearly enjoying himself. He's putting a hurting on Kes Evans. He gets Kes Evans into the corner, ties his feet around the turnbuckle, and then he goes for the good old coast to coast, which he got convincingly. But the only problem was he looked as if he landed a bit awkwardly.
I hurt himself. That's what I've got, Bunny. I've got in my note here. Anthony hurt himself while delivering a coast to coast. He slowly starts to scale the cage, and Kes Evans, he's following him up. And it's Anthony that kicks Evans to the floor. And this to me was questionable. I understand that you want to do a big moment, but
I wouldn't have done it.
There was the briefcase that was on the line. It means too much, if you ask me. There's too much on the line for that kind of stuff.
Of course, the spot you're talking about is
the big moonsault off the cage.
And it was visually fantastic. It looked great.
Oh, it was pitch perfect. You couldn't ask for much better. And again, I understand why he wanted to do it. And he's probably proven a point, because he is in ICW. I can get insane.
And he did.
Which he absolutely did. He absolutely did in this match. I just think, yeah, you had your win. You should have took it while you had the opportunity.
Right.
And that is effectively what I think cost Craig Anthony the match. But I'll let you get on how that happened.
Well, it closed pretty quick after this. Kes Evans was going for the door again, and he actually gets his arms out of the cage. Of course, the briefcase is sat on the steps. Craig Anthony starts trying to drag Evans back in. Lo and behold, Evans has got the briefcase, wallops him right in the noggin. For the American listeners, that is, he hits him in the head with the briefcase multiple times.
Looked brutal, by the way.
Oh, it did. It looked awful. Craig Anthony is just lying motionless, middle of the ring. Kes Evans is not happy with this. He's obviously making sure the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. Proceeds to wallop him in the noggin a few more times just to make sure he's dead. And Craig Anthony sold it the best way possible. He just lay there and died.
Motionless. He just never moved.
Just lay there motionless. And Kes Evans came across for the pin, which of course he was always going to get because, well, he's just knocked the life out of the guy. So, aye. And that sort of closed out the night. And all in all, I thought it was a really good showing from a small promotion in Scotland, in Glasgow. It shows the kind of material we can put out. It shows the kind of guys we've got on the roster, guys that can deliver, guys that can turn up and put on a show. And in these dark days, we thank them. And that's all I have to say about that.
I'm the same. Really did enjoy the whole show as a whole. It was brilliant. The Kes Evans and Craig Anthony match deserved the main event spot for me. One thing that I really did love about that was, not about that match, it was just about the show in general, was the whole card was based around steel cage matches. So you would think to yourself, that could be tricky because are we not going to see the same thing over and over and over again? But they made sure that in every match, you weren't seeing the same spots using the cage. And when it came to the main event, the best spots with the cage were used for the main event, the big. And that is the way it should be. Your main event is your main event for a reason.
That's it.
That's the way it should be done. And I think that's exactly how they pulled it off. So I can't fault them for that. Absolutely 10 out of 10 for that.
Definitely.
Everybody, for the first match to the last match, it was absolutely brilliant. I loved Molly Spartan versus Angel Hayes. I think I already said it, but I'll say it again. Molly Spartan is forging a path to championship gold, and she is going to get there sooner rather than later. She's got to be the next women's champion.
Not only is she going to get the belt, I would say she's going to hold it for quite some time.
Definitely. I can't see anybody taking it away from Molly. I don't know who that person is.
Well, it's not me. You can keep it, Molly. We did say we're going to shine a wee bit of light on ICW, and we'll explain why we're doing this, because one of us, i.e. me, has got a wee bit of a connection to ICW and GPWA, the Asylum, and over to you. You can explain it. We're just kind of freestyling here, by the way, folks. The notes are done.
I'll give you a quick rerun. Listen to a podcast on YouTube from a guy called Joe Hendry. The podcast itself is called How to Become a Pro Wrestler. And listening to that, his message that stuck with me was, if you wanted to become a pro wrestler, if it's something that you've truly wanted to do, you owe it to yourself to give it a try, because you don't want to go to the grave with what if questions. What have I done this? What have I tried that? And that resonated with me, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to actually try and go and pursue the wrestling dream. Finding a school I thought was going to be hard, but it was actually quite easy. GPWA was well established at this point, and all the coaches, I was actually fans of them by the time I went to start training. So I was actually pretty chuffed with that. I was talking about GPWA, the coaches. You've got Jack Jester, absolute hardcore icon, British legend. You've got Wolfgang. I don't need to say much about him. He is a WWE superstar. He's an NXT UK former tag team champion. And I'm pretty sure he's going to go on to have a nice singles run in WWE at some point.
Gallus Boys on top, by the way.
Gallus Boys on top. Lionheart. Lionheart was one of the original. He was actually one of the main guys that was training me in the first 8 weeks. It was Jack Jester and it was Lionheart, and then occasionally it was Wolfgang. You also had Stevie Boy, Jackie Polo, Kaylee Ray, Liam Thompson. These are all people that are these are all coaches in GPWA. When I went to look for a school, GPWA was the school. There was no question about it. There was names, recognizable names. One of the first things that you'll learn when you're going to start training is you want to find a good school. And I was fortunate enough that I started out in a good school. I never ended up like Wolfgang, like Drew McIntyre. I never had to end up in a post office. Although if it was Jake the Snake, I would go into a post office, because I'd do anything to spend 5 minutes with Jake the Snake, pick his brains.
It's like the logical lightning.
Oh, absolutely. But the guys that came that are running GPWA, they've been producing some of the best talent that we haven't even yet seen. And can't wait for this new era of ICW that is upon us now. We're just starting to scratch the surface with all the new talent that's came out from Scotland. GPWA, FPWA, they're bringing out some amazing talent, and the question is for a lot of these guys now is, with there being that, it's becoming the standard that there's that much talent. It's not a surprise anymore. So the thing is how do you stand out? That's a hard question that a lot of these new talents are going to need to answer. Hopefully that's a question I'd like to answer myself one day. But my training is, it doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon at the asylum for obvious reasons. We can't go back to it. I'd love to be able to go back to physical contact and throw guys about and get thrown about and taking my bumps. And I don't know if I want to say this on record, but I'll say it anyway. I miss Brookside shuffles. Nah, it's just a blatant whopper. I'll edit that a bit out.
There you go, folks. You heard it here first. O'Hare misses Brookside shuffles. Now, every week he would go wrestling, and every week I would be like, what you been up to tonight? And he would reply the same thing. See they fucking Brookside shuffles. Aye, so that is the Brookside shuffle. Now, on the subject of GPWA, ICW, obviously the two are intertwined. Can you tell us, Sean, who was GPWA's first student?
GPWA's first student? I could, yes. That would be the beautiful bruiser, Molly Spartan.
The priestess of pain, the sin of wrestling, and indeed our super special guest next week.
Oh, right. I believe it.
That's right. You heard it here first. And by the way, I am fully taking credit for this. This is my get.
Before you take credit, let me actually give you some credit, because absolutely, John, this was yours. This was your guest, and look good. I couldn't believe that you came out with this, and I don't think we're going to be topping this anytime soon.
I messaged Molly Spartan about a cage match. I said it would be great to get her on the show. She very kindly said she would love to do it, and lo and behold, she's going to speak to us next week. So if anybody has got any questions for the beautiful bruiser, it is questions@theprowrestlingjourney.co.uk. Anything you want to know, we will ask the question. I can't guarantee she'll answer it. Like, if you ask her how to bake a cake, I'm not saying she'll know. I'm not saying she'll want to tell you. But we will certainly, travellers, you put the questions to us, we'll put them to Molly for you, and we'll see what we can do with that. So looking forward to it. I know Sean's got a few irons in the fire, so and that's probably the best place to wind it up, folks. So Sean, tell us where we can find you on the socials.
You can find me at Shug, SHUG 9516.
I am John O'Hare, OHARE 1979. More importantly, you've got the Pro Wrestling Journey podcast Twitter page. It's just the Pro Wrestling Journey podcast.
The Pro_WJ.
Indeed. And obviously, as I keep saying, fire us all your questions, all your thoughts, anything at all. Questions at theprowrestlingjourney.co.uk, and we will do our best to both get them to Molly Spartan, because I'm sure they'll come flooding in, and answer any questions you've got for us. Where does Sean get his hair product? Tune in next week to find out.
I don't use any. Well, that'll be a whopper, but we'll get to that next week if you really want to know. But I refuse to answer said question until it is questions at theprowrestlingjourney.co.uk.
Additionally, folks, we've also got the brand new YouTube channel up and running, so hit that subscribe button with a chair shot, hit it with Triple H's sledgehammer, press it with your finger if you want. We don't care, just subscribe on the old YouTube channel. It's the Pro Wrestling Journey podcast. You'll get the video version of this podcast, God help you. You'll get to see what me and Sean actually look like in person, and one of these days we'll do a blooper reel, so you'll actually see what goes on behind the scenes. And the answer to that, to be honest, is no much. laughter, crying, tears, the usual kind of stuff.
The good stuff.
Smash that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're on Apple Podcasts, hit us up with a 5-star review. And yeah, that's us for this week, folks. Thanks for listening, and join us again next week when we will be speaking to the beautiful bruiser herself, Molly Spartan. So until then, it's good night from me.
And it's a good night from me. Absolutely can't wait for next week to speak to Molly Spartan. It's going to be an absolute honour. It's going to be a privilege. And we can't wait to bring that to you. So until then, we shall see you next week for episode 8.